Hello, everybody. We should be live now. Let me grab my chat and we'll say some hellos. First off, thank you very much, Ed, for joining me. And of course, our wonderful guest tonight, Guppy Guru, Peter. Awesome to
Thank
have
you
you.
for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Oh, hey, it is a pleasure. I've enjoyed talking to you lately. Let's see. We got John Law. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to be able to talk tonight, apparently. John Larson, Gina French, Guppy Guru is here with us, Hat Trick Farm. The chat won't even let me go back up further. I know we had Lefty in here. Let's see. Tiffany White was here. There we go. Muppet 929. Terry's Tropical Tanks. Dank Tanks is with us. Moonstone. I think Moonstone stepped away to do a water change. Lots of great people coming in. My chat's going to be a pain in the backside tonight. GRB Aquatics. For some reason, it's like laggy and then jumpy, but we will work with it. I'll close it at some point.
That's the best part of a live stream, though.
It is. It really is.
It keeps you on your toes, right?
It does. Always expect some sort of technical difficulties, and you will be doing all right. Appreciate y'all showing up. Lots of people and members in here. Thanks for being here. I want to say real quick a very special thank you. We passed 1,300 subscribers today, so I appreciate you all very much for that. You guys are awesome. I love you for it. So enough about me. Guppy Guru, as most of you probably already know, but just in case you don't, he's been a huge part of the hashtag Project Placilia this month and the Placilia entry, which is the contest we're having. He is one of several sponsors, but one of the first that actually offered to do a sponsorship, if not the first. I don't remember exactly. But
yeah, I don't know if I was one of the first one or what, but it's been awesome how many people have wanted to do it for sure.
Yeah, so. And you've been with us from the beginning, not just with that, but also with, helping with the page and kind of getting everybody together.
Yeah, Lefty's been probably the most forward with most of the stuff, like starting chats and that kind of stuff. My cat is going to come right through.
Yeah.
They always do that.
Speaking of Lefty 3213A comes through with a $2 super sticker saying, I am here with the big red arrow. Sorry, Zen, looks like you've lost that one again. She's going to yell at him for stealing her sticker. Lefty, thank you very much. But yeah, absolutely. Lefty has been just a phenomenal help and a fantastic person.
He's really cool. He bought some plants from me the other day, and so I hooked him up with a little bit more than normal too. So, gotta love the fish fam, that's for sure.
While you brought it up, or should we keep going? Would you like to talk about your website quick?
Yeah, I mean, if you guys are cool with that,
I would love to hear about it. Yeah.
So it's kind of a really cool situation. So Ian, who is the one who runs Salt City Aquatics, it's like he started it. He was selling his shrimp because he does a lot of neocardinia shrimp. And then he found out that I was doing fish, and he was like, wait a second. And I've known Ian since third grade. We've been friends since really good friends since third grade. So what that would be I don't know, 15, 16 years, but we've known each other since we were 2. So we've been friends forever. And so he had this website, and then I jumped in and started selling fish with him. So it's been kind of cool. It's almost like a cooperative kind of situation where he sells some fish on there, I sell some fish on there, he sells a shrimp, we both sell plants. It's been really cool because it's kind of given us more opportunity to get more fish in that we wouldn't normally have the money for, and then be able to get some people some really cool stuff. So
dude, that is awesome. I want to say real quick, thank you, Catfish Terry. Looks like we've got a Catfish Terry raid coming through here. I appreciate y'all for running through and doing the raid. Before it disappears on me, Lance Jones asked if anyone's got Eclipse guppies. I do not. But
I don't either. Those are a very hard one to find. So there's a few that are those super sought after fish that everyone wants and no one can find. And when they do show up, it's incredible. But then they show up and, someone who never gets rid of them again. So it's one of those that's kind of what I really enjoy doing, is bringing in fish $65 pair of fish and breeding them and then getting them to people who can actually afford them. So,
and that's awesome. Yeah,
it's hard to do, because if you get fish in from not a great person and they're not very healthy, it takes a lot of effort to get a fish back to to life technically. So
yeah, and then you've got to worry about what kind of issues did they have going in their tank, and what do you
Right.
have to fix, and how many generations before you've got a really strong hardy guppy that you can feel comfortable selling.
Yeah, I usually wait 2 generations before I sell any fish. So
That's awesome. Very, very cool.
because I don't want someone to get something that they're not happy with. So
Right. Absolutely. And that makes perfect sense. Yeah, that's part of one of the reasons I got into guppies, besides just falling in love with them, is there's not really much here in Knoxville in terms of nice guppies. It's just generic, um, fancy guppies, and there's not really anybody that's offering any. Of course, Ed and Bob are not too far from me, and they've got phenomenal guppies. But I'm hoping that if I can get some, nice things into the local pet store, we can kind of spread around some guppies and again keep growing that guppy community.
yeah, for sure. I mean, the local fish stores are really like the main point that we need to like push for. I'm lucky. My local fish store is like 5 minutes away from me, if not even less than that. And they always get local fish from one of my club members, Bryce. He'll actually sell his like coals, but his coals are like IFGA show winners in some people's books, like absolutely gorgeous fish. And you'll just pick them up in the mutt tank. And it's just like, okay, no. These are beautiful albino reds. They should be set up in a trio tank by themselves and sold as a trio.
Right.
So but luckily my fish store is like getting that, kind of figuring out that we can sell really gorgeous fish, and guppies do have a value. So if we can get the fish stores to kind of understand that, it'll be really awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's where I'm really excited about what you guys started with the project. I think it's going to be awesome for that.
Absolutely. So for anybody that's not familiar with you, first off, go check this guy out. That guy out. Awesome channel. He's doing live streams every Sunday now.
Yep.
What's the time, Eastern time?
So Eastern time, it would be, I think, 11 because it's 9 o'clock Mountain. Okay. So I think it's 11 o'clock for your guys' time.
Yeah. So 11 Eastern, which is right before Diet Down the Wormhole does her streams.
Yep. And she's been an awesome person for that too. So we've had some fun where we mess with each other before each other's streams. So it's been pretty fun to hang out.
Very cool.
And his live streams, I tell everybody that y'all should go and check it out. It's a lot like James and me, except with smart guys.
I'm not that smart. Luckily I did so much research before I started that I look smart. That's the difference. So I just play it off really good, I guess.
Well, I enjoy it quite a bit. So
I appreciate that. No, it's really fun. I love live streams in general. I'm really excited to be on your guys's because I kind of modeled mine after yours because it's just kind of like, why not hang out, talk about fish, just chill. I mean, there's nothing better than nerding out with other nerds. So
absolutely. But for anybody that's not familiar with your channel, will you tell us a little bit about your setups, what kind of tanks and how many you've got and that kind of awesome stuff?
Yeah, I can for sure. So, well, first of all, I'll start out by saying I started keeping fish almost a year ago. So I've only been in this hobby a year officially. But I did like 2 years of research before I even got my first fish tank. So I knew everything about nitrogen cycles and, ammonia spikes and how to cycle tanks properly and almost everything you could imagine before I even started. So that really set me off for like this perfect groundwork to have success. And I think that's why I've done as well as I have in the hobby so far, is because I did so much before instead of like on the fly research. I had so much in my pocket before I even started. So I was able to like not just do one species, but like 20 when starting that some don't normally have a whole lot of success with starting out. So, but I went from one tank and I got it in June, and now I'm at 36 tanks and a bed of barracks. So MTS set in real hard, real quick.
That is awesome.
Luckily, I have an awesome fiance, and she let me just take over the entire garage. So my garage had my 1956 Chevy in it, and I took that to my office, and now it's my fish room here. So we got tanks all over the place, though. They're in the house and bedrooms and offices and everywhere. So, but I keep everything from guppies to cories to hillstream loaches to killifish. Just got some ranchu goldfish the other day. I've got pea puffers. I got quite a few different species. So, and then 19 strains of guppies. and counting.
So I know we did mention the website, but we've got a comment now for anybody that's just coming in asking if you sell guppies.
Yes, so it's saltcityaquatics.com. So we live in Salt Lake City, and Salt Lake Aquatics was already taken by Susan, or SLC Aquatics was taken by Susan. So Ian couldn't use that one, of course. So he went with Salt City Aquatics. So we've got I think he's got some shrimp on there right now. And then he's got a couple of his guppy strains that he keeps. And then a lot of mine that I'm breeding out and growing up are on there. And then a lot of plants too. So, and then we also have some really cool hardscape stuff. Like I went down to Arizona and was lucky enough to know a landowner down there who let me go on his property and do some natural cholla wood hunting. So I've got some huge chunks of cholla wood. I mean, like they could fill up this 75 plus, like absolutely massive pieces. Normally you get the little 6-inch piece, for like $12 or whatever. These are like trees, absolute trees.
Sorry, I'm trying to get the link for your website in here.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. It's been really cool because like every dollar I make on the site has kind of just flipped back into the fish room here. So like, but let's say I sell $100 worth of something, I'll go out and I'll spend $135 on something just to get that. Like, it just funds the really cool hobby that we all have, which is it's awesome. I'm ecstatic that I'm able to do that. So I never thought I'd be able to. So I appreciate all of it.
It's nice to be able to have that justification of, well, I don't really want to spend that much, but if I can get these breeding, then it'll pay for itself. Yeah, that is awesome. And like Gina French said, it's always nice when your significant other is okay with mini fish tanks. Lucky that way with my husband. For
sure.
So I know you mentioned that she's okay with it. Does she participate any? Does she have any of her own tanks?
Yeah, so she's got a 30-gallon bow front in her office, and it's got some cherry shrimp, some Amano shrimp. She's got a Pandagara in there, a couple Hillstream loaches, long-fit albino pleco, and then I think she's got 3 or 4 of the female bettas that we raised up in there too. So she's got a good little mix of stuff going on in there.
That sounds like it, yeah.
And then a lot of really nice plants because I set her up with a CO2 tank. So she's got like some Renicky plants and some red scarlet temples and all sorts of that stuff, which she wanted more color in her tank. And if she wanted a tank, I was going to go all out on it because, why not? So I got her the CO2 setup in there. So
absolutely, I can understand that. That's why I parted with the 110-gallon for Miss Fever, because I figured if she's got a tank, that'll help.
Yes, it definitely does.
Speaking of plants, do you have a top 3 plants that you like to have with your guppies, or even a top 1 if you want to narrow it down that far?
Yeah, I mean, my 2 favorite, we'll just narrow it down to 2. Well, I guess I could do 3 or 4. I mean, there's a lot of plants I really like, but guppy grass is definitely my number 1. It grows like crazy in my fish room. I don't know if it's like the hard water I have or that I do easy green weekly or what I do, but it grows like crazy in here, and the fish absolutely breed like nuts in it. And then Java moss, of course, is another really good one. This is all Java moss back here.
Oh, nice.
And then I really, really like vowels. Any kind of vowel, I think it's an awesome plant to put in escape just behind or anywhere, really float it. It still does well. So
very nice.
But definitely guppy grass is my number 1.
I stopped giving easy green to the guppy grass and it still just goes crazy.
Yeah, you don't really have to do much to it, but it grows, I think, doubles up once I do the easy green. So like this is the purple Dumbo tank up here. And I just pulled all of that guppy grass out a week ago and left in like a 4-inch sprig. And now it's all back fully green again. It's crazy. So
it is.
So
did you ever have a problem with duckweed?
Oh yes,
your tanks look beautiful.
Yeah, I've got duckweed in every tank. But the one thing I do differently on the duckweed front is I do the giant duckweed. So it's kind of like the larger style, or some people call it like dwarf lettuce. And it's just a bigger duckweed is all it looks like. And then I really like, I can never remember the name when I'm always on point, and I can never remember it. But then whenever I'm looking at it, I remember it. But it's like a fuzzier floating plant.
Is it the water spangles?
It's, some people call it that, and there's another name for it too. But I have that in the tanks, and that tends to choke out the smaller duckweed, which I really like. So
yeah,
but duckweed in everyone pretty much. So
absolutely.
No one can get away from that. That's just a given. And I really do like it. I think it's an awesome like benefit to a tank until it gets overgrown, and then it starts choking out oxygen and stuff to that tank.
Right. So if anybody does have any questions, feel free to throw those in the chat. If you'll put @FishRoomFever in front of them so they highlight for me, we'll be sure to get to those. Now, we talked about these a little bit before the stream, but for anybody wondering what those black things hooked on your tank are, will you tell us a little bit about those? And you've got a video on them as well that we can direct people to.
Yeah, so those are just the Penplex. I think they call them the Daily Doubles, if I remember correctly. There might be a different name for them. But I've bought out Amazon on them twice already because I like them so much. And I was just telling Ed before the stream that I've like dropped them multiple times. I've dropped them into the tank. And you think that they'd be bad, but it's just a AA battery, and it just rotates. It just literally just rotates, and it's set to 24 or every 12 hours it'll dump. And it's got this little tube, and you just rotate it, and you can add more food or less food to the tank as you want. Some tanks I tend to like wrap the tube in like electrical tape just to get a little less if there's like maybe only one trio in there, but every tank has one. I absolutely love them.
And do you find that having the fish on that scheduled twice a day feeding has helped you in terms of general health and productivity with frying things?
Definitely. Yeah. If you can feed a higher, protein diet, and you can feed it more often, you're definitely going to have better success. And since I work all day and sometimes I'm on the road, being able to come in like right when I get off work and feed like baby brine or bloodworms or the cyclops or anything like that extra on top of their, already morning and night food is going to just boost their production and their breeding and all that. And I just think you just get better quality fish too. If you can feed more, but not overfeed to a point where it's detrimental to the water quality, you're going to get not as many bent spines. You'll get a better, healthy fish with color faster too. So I've done a couple experiment videos on like my fry food and which ones I like the most. And I'm working on doing another part to that right now. I just haven't gotten around to it because I've just been so busy. So
we've got an emergency question real quick. Fish Whisperer Miles said hello, highlighted. So hello, Fish Whisperer Miles. Moonstone Kim says, Fish Room Fever emergency question. Will methylene blue kill plecos? My Dan's fish marble angels are spawning in the same tank. Thank you. So we've got the smart guy down here, as Ed mentioned. So
I've actually never used methylene blue. Since it's so hard to find now, I've never used it. I know some breeders do use it. I just don't know with plecos. It's not really my ball game.
Figured I'd ask.
Yet. I'm working into it a little bit, but I know there's a couple really good resources. If you look on Bay Area Aquatics channel, he was able to interview a guy who's like really big into catfish and plecos, and he has his own channel that is nothing but pleco and catfish.
Yeah.
And I know he's got a couple of videos on like what medicines are safe and which ones are best for them.
Gotcha.
So I'm not sure what his name was. I've completely spaced it, but it's on his channel as far as like a link to that would be.
And I've used methylene blue quite a few times, but never in the tank just because of it, killing off the bacteria, and I don't want to do anything to the nitrogen cycle. I've only used it on eggs that I've pulled. I figured Bob Kaler would have an answer. Kaler's Aquatic says, no, it will not kill plecos. It's on several common meds. So there we go. He said, I've never used it in tank, only with eggs that have been pulled separate. But
yeah, I haven't gotten to that point yet. I let nature happen. So if it doesn't survive, then nature didn't want it to. So
yeah, that's kind of what I've gone back to. I may go back to pulling eggs now that I'm going to have some more time in the near future. But with one day off a week, there's just not enough time to be pulling batches of eggs all over the place.
Yeah, and there's just not enough time with how many tanks we have to clean too.
Yeah. it gets interesting.
Yeah, it does. That's for sure. I always like joke about how we're all lazy now and we have, pythons and auto feeders and all this. And then I go to a fish room that's all full water change with auto feeders and like perfectly set up. And I'm like, what do you even do with your fish? Do you even see them? So I kind of like doing water changes. I enjoy it actually.
So that brings me into one of the things I wanted to ask you about having that many tanks. I'm assuming from what you just mentioned, you're not on an auto water change system. So
I am not, no. I'm lucky enough to have such hard water that I have a very neutral pH. So I'm at like a 7.4, 7.5 out of tap.
nice.
So all I really have to do is dechlorinate, and I just check my water weekly. And sometimes I'll go 2 or 3 weeks without a water change in some tanks, and that'll actually boost production in some of my tanks, and it'll lower it. So I've kind of have like a system depending on the line on what I'll do. Some fish I'll do every single week, but other fish do better if I wait 2 weeks between water changes. So that's just something I've learned from, weekly water changes. And then I've kind of backed it up to try to see what would happen. Like
Right.
I just did a video with the hill streams that I bred in here, and I haven't done a water change on that tank in 3 months. Which is crazy. Like you think, okay, you have to do weekly water changes. I was just doing top offs, and I bred hill streams in it, so something was going right in there. So
Absolutely. And I'm finding like you've got that planted well behind you. That the plants are a huge factor in that. Because I was in that same, I've got to do a water change every single week on every single tank. And it's like testing it. And it's like, no, I really don't need to do a water change on this. No, it's been, like you said, 2-3 months. I still don't need to do a water change on this.
Yeah, I mean, there are some people that have to, get into like the San Francisco area where they've got just a crazy amount of chemicals in their water, or the New York area where they got a crazy amount of chemical. Like where we're at, I mean, you guys are probably running a lot of aquifer and spring water, and we're running all mountain runoff here, so pretty fresh water.
Yeah. Our which Ed and I are on separate water, but I've got extremely hard water. But they like to mess with the chlorine content in it, like especially with everything that's going on right now. I turned on the water one day and it just smelled like bleach coming out of the tap. And I was like, whoa, we're not doing any water changes today.
Yeah, no. Yeah, we're lucky where I'm at. We're actually in a township, and I actually have water rights within the township for my home that I have.
Oh, very nice.
So our township doesn't actually add any additional chemicals than just the standard Utah, like, regulatory chemicals. I just keep it human safe. So when all this was happening, I was afraid of the same thing, and I did check, and we got a little bit of a spike in chlorine, but nothing that really scared me at all as far as a water change would cause. So
very nice. Real quick in the chat, referencing on the methylene blue, and then Kim Moonstone had another comment. Let's see, Lumpy Dog did mention it will kill many plants, and then Moonstone said fish room fever. My Jack Dempsey spawned hard with parents present and snails, and they all hatched fine. Anybody want gorgeous JDs? ? LOL. Congratulations on the babies. And Fish Whisperer Miles has a very good point. It says they put it in bags when we get fish from the wholesalers. And there's Father Fish. Hello, Father Fish. Welcome. Speaking of well-balanced aquariums and not having to do water changes, glad to have you here.
Exactly. The best at that.
Yeah. It says, I have and use meth blue in hospital tanks and hatchery. I prefer actiflavin. Never had a problem with it. So very good information there.
Yeah, his channel was a huge help to that 2 years of learning. I watched a lot of stuff about planet tanks from him, so I appreciate what he does for the hobby as well. It's kind of cool because the fish fam, like, even though you don't normally talk to people, you still learn so much from this. Like, this platform is absolutely incredible for that. It's just a learning platform is all it is. It's source learning. So
it's phenomenal. And of course, I always recommend you find multiple sources.
Yes.
Not just the one you're looking for, because Lord knows with the internet, you can find the answer you want to, whether it's the right one or not.
Yeah, and I tend to, like, when I'm doing some research on something, like when I was looking at my ranchos and figuring out if I wanted to go that route or if I wanted to go a different goldfish scenario or type. I went to like some of the channels that only have like 12 subs, and those channels tend to be like someone who sat there for 45 minutes and talked about the fish they've had for 3, 4, or 5 years.
Yeah.
And that can be some of the best information you get. Sometimes the biggest ones aren't always the best, you know?
Absolutely. DNA Aquatics, hello Melvin, says Fish Room Fever, Guppy Guru, are you planning on doing any African cichlid tanks or dwarf cichlid tanks like Pistogrammas, Rams, or Shelleys?
So I've thought about the Shelleys. I've got underneath all this right here, I've got like a little section that doesn't have any tanks in it. I've got a 30-gallon long that was from Well Done Tanks, and he had it for a salt setup, and I cleaned it to do freshwater in it. I was thinking about putting the Shelleys in there. I haven't gotten to that point yet. I'm not a huge cichlid fan, and I know that'll probably turn some people off. I just don't like aggressive fish. It's just like I said we just did our think tank on Tuesday. I kind of went on a rant about the same thing, but I'm just like, this is my calm, this is my peaceful place. And I don't really want to have a fish that like overly is aggressive, because I tend not to want that in this. So, but I do have angelfish in this tank behind me. And I've got an Epistogramma female in there, which are awesome because they're still a peaceful fish. So, but yes, I've kind of tossed the idea around of going Shelley route. I think they're an awesome little fish. Very
cool. And we've got Miss Fever in the chat booing because she, of course, loves her African cichlids.
I think they're gorgeous fish. I have nothing against the fish in general. It doesn't fit my what would be my feng shui of the fish room that I'm setting for myself. Because this is it's all for us, you know. It really is.
Yeah. It would mess up your channel name.
Right. Yeah. You know. And I just love guppies, and you can't put guppies with African cichlids. So
well, and my thought process in mind, which, you know, I am coming over to the dark side and enjoying her African cichlids more and more. But if I wanted an aggressive fish that was going to kill anything else I put in the tank, you know, I've already got a piranha tank. What do I need the cichlids for?
Yeah. And I've looked at the Baisher, the Bashir, Biker, or whatever people say. And that's the only like a really aggressive fish that I'm like, I need that fish. Like I need it. And I just don't have the space right now. And I'm one of those people that if I don't have the space, I'm not going to make the space, you know, because I'm not going to bring a fish in that's not going to be happy or healthy in my fish room for a long time.
That'd be a great one to have at your office.
Yeah,
it would. Yeah. And I'm lucky enough where I run the business that my mom and dad started. So I actually have the ability to do that and throw my own tank in there. And I'm just waiting for the right time just to bring in like a 250-gallon tank into the office. So.
Yeah. Well, when new people come in, just say, that's a dinosaur fish.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just waiting for all this to blow over so I have a little bit extra cash that I'm not worried about. And then I'll go and spring on like a nice big acrylic tank or something.
Cool.
Very, very nice.
I love my 3 Baisher I've got. And it was James. He was like the first guy to have a Baisher that I really liked. And its name's Buddy, and it like just swims nonstop in front of the tank. Yeah. And so I waited till I found one that was swimming in front of the tank, and I finally found one, and I got him. And then I got 2 others, and we're growing them out to put with him. But,
no, you guys were the ones that made me fall in love with them too. So thank you, I guess, for that.
Yeah, and I just moved the ones that were in here, including Buddy. I took them out when I replanted this tank because I'm hoping to at some point get them to spawn. But
that would be really cool.
Yeah, that's the hope, but we will see.
That would be an interesting breeding process to watch. Like bettas are really gorgeous to watch breed because they do the whole grasp and squeeze, and I think that's absolutely gorgeous. Guppies, live birth, so that's pretty easy. And then angels are, spawners and everything where they lay their eggs on the surfaces. So it'd be really cool to see like a Baisher like really do their whole spawning ritual. I think it'd be awesome.
Absolutely. I know Haley at Oddball Aquatics has had luck in the past with spawning her Baishers. So I've talked to her a little bit. But I know the first step was getting them in their own tank with nothing else in there. And I need to get some mops in there for them so that they can be enticed into doing some egg scattering.
Yeah.
But
It's always interesting too what you have to do to get a fish to want to breed. Like,
Yeah.
With guppies, you're lucky. You just throw them in a tank and, they kind of just do it as long as the water's clean and they get fed well. But some fish, you're just like, okay, come on now. It's time. Like, I've had you for a year. Like, you should be doing something for me here. But sometimes you don't get lucky. So
even just in plecos, I've got bristlenose that spawn like crazy. Of course, I got some blue-eyed lemons, and they spawned the second day I had them in the tank. And I didn't buy them as a pair. I was like, that's a boy, that's a girl. Give them to me. Let's go.
Yeah.
Second day eggs. These snowballs are going on 6 months, I think, of having 5 of them in there, and nothing. I did find the other day, though, where I always lay my caves on top. A lot of the snowballs weren't going into them, but when I added some more substrate, I buried them down at an angle with just the opening sticking out for the most part. And now they've all taken up residency in the caves. So it's just one of those weird things like,
the more comfort. Yeah.
You wanted it buried in the substrate. I got you.
Yeah. You can do that yourself, fish, but I'll do it for you.
Yeah. You never know. And
and those snowballs are gorgeous. It's like, there's so many beautiful plecos. There absolutely are.
Is there I know you said you've not really gotten into plecos. Do you have like a beginner, or are you just going to go with bristle nose, or do you have one set that you're like, hey, I really want to get this pleco and try giving it a go?
Yeah, no, I really I enjoy bristle nose. I think they're really beautiful fish. I'm lucky enough where a lot of local guys have been able to breed a lot of them. So I've got albinos from a local breeder. I've got super reds from local breeders. And then I've got just your commons from some friends and stuff. And then we got a long fin bristle nose from our local fish store. So I've got a good variety of them. And I think you can, and I like the fact that they stay small.
Yeah.
Like with some plecos, they get massive and people don't realize that. And then they get in a bind where they don't know where to put him or her. And then they have to get rid of it, or they end up throwing it down the drain or out into a lake or whatever. And then they cause all sorts of issues. So I like the bristle nose because of the size of it. And I think the clown plecos are really great too. Same scenario.
Yeah. I hate that I never see them, but
yeah. My local fish store tends to have like 4 at all times. I have no idea why, but they're always around in my fish store here. But then like my friend Trent over at Well Done Tanks, he's got like the L166, I believe, the yellow zebra pleco.
Okay.
And he was lucky enough to get I think 5 of those 6 of them for a pretty good price.
Wow.
So I'm waiting for him to breed those, and then I'll take some off of his hands, So
very, very
I'll get into it a little bit more as time goes on, but I'm really I enjoy having them as a helpful crew in the tanks.
And I imagine once productivity kicks in, those will be available on your website for sale as well.
I'm sure they will. Yeah. So Trent is actually going to come in to Salt City with us and start selling some like rice fish and that kind of stuff too.
Nice.
He's in the process of building out his fish room right now. So once he gets that all done, he's going to start throwing some fish up on the site for what he has to sale too. So, and I talked to Lefty and told him like he has the ability to do that too if he wants to down the road. And so I kind of want to do almost like a Get Gills type scenario
Gotcha.
where you can like have a bunch of local, hobbyists on the site, which I think would be awesome. And then Ian runs everything and posts all the pictures, and he comes over and takes pictures of my fish for me. And so it's been kind of cool because he's a much better photographer than I am. So he gets some really cool shots.
Very, very nice. So we've got several people in the chat, Kim and Moonstone, Gina French, saying that they want snowballs. Let them know if I get babies. If I get babies, they will be made available to the members first. That's not a designated perk, but I will definitely let you all know before I were to just list them openly for sale. Same thing with the blue-eyed lemons, and hopefully the Medusa plecos decide that they want to make some babies that I just got. Any cool stuff, I'll offer to you members first. So don't worry there. I got you.
Yeah, that's the nice part about being members, for sure.
But yeah, and well, I figure it's the least I can do, because I don't expect that from anybody. I appreciate it very, very, very much, but it's always like, what can I do, to try and earn that? Do my best. Fish Whisperer Miles says we have snowballs at my job. Ed, finish this. I'm driving to his place to get. No, just kidding. Yeah, I've been fortunate enough that my local fish store, the one that I frequent the most, which Aquatic Marine, everybody knows it's in here any amount of time. They are really great about getting huge variety, and like they know I'm a pleco nut, so it's constant. Like, dude, check out these new plecos I got. I mean, they've carried everything from, of course, your standard bristle nose and things like that, super reds to green phantoms, blue phantoms, the snowballs, vampire plecos, royal plecos. I mean, just it's always like, hey, we got this new pleco, and they got the new Rangers in a couple of times, which I thought was really, really cool because those got like really hard to get. But they're neat fish as well. Lots of fingers crossed. Yeah, absolutely. If I can get those going, as Ginger says, no, offer fish to the Zebra Pleco members first. I do, Zen. You and Mr. Zen have got first dibs on it, being that you all are Zebra level members. I've actually got a package I'm shipping out to Mr. and Mrs. Zen on Monday. So everybody, fingers crossed for that. Hopefully all goes well, and USPS doesn't decide to throw the box down the stairs or anything stupid like that.
Shouldn't you be
I've
offered,
actually go ahead, Ed.
Shouldn't you be offered the pleco of the bracket you're in first?
If I had it, yeah. But we'll
So
see.
she can do the zebras. Is there snowballs?
Well, I went through and I got rid of one tier earlier, and I'll talk more on memberships on another stream because I don't want to take up this time with Guppy Guru talking memberships.
I was just being goofy.
But I am going to
Totally
change. I am going to change that stuff around, and we're actually going to be bringing the members only live stream down to the $4.99 a month level for everybody there. So be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, I need to get on myself and join up as a member because I keep watching the streams on my cell phone while I'm doing all my stuff, and I can never get it to work on my iPhone. So I need to just do it on my computer today while
Bob
I'm on it.
Butt banning everybody with his phone. It looks like. Sorry, I just looked at the chat and all these timeouts from Bob Kaler, but no, it's something that I want to try and offer special people. But in terms of the zebras, what I'm wanting to do is, and I mention this because I think that you'll like this. Look at Guppy Guru there. Peter, thank you.
There you go, guys.
Very much.
I'm on my computer today, so I can officially do it right now.
So in going with what Ed said, Guppy Guru will be one of the first people that gets a shot at the snowballs. But what I decided to do was when I first was like, okay, I really want some zebra plecos. And this kind of goes back to what you're saying about justifying purchases financially, if you will. I said, I want to do a project, and it's going to take some time for me to actually do it, but I'm going to eventually, it'll be a video down the road when it's all said and done, starting with bristlenose, breeding those out, selling those. It's like, okay, I've sold enough of those to have enough profit that I can buy, snowballs. So let's breed those out. Let's make enough so that we can buy some leopard frogs. Let's breed those out so that we can make enough to buy zebras. Basically a long-term breeding your way up to these high-end fish that you're going, I don't want to spend $3,000 on a small colony of zebra plecos, so.
Yeah, I was on eBay the other. Do you ever do this? I want to ask this chat here if they do this. Do you guys ever go on to eBay or wherever, Aquabit, and just go from highest to lowest in a category and see what people are pricing stuff at? Do you guys ever do that just to see what comes up as the highest? I
don't, but I'm going to have to start checking that out.
Because it is mind blowing. I did it with bristlenose plecos the other day, and it came up with this one pleco. So one, and it was I think $9,000. And it was a sunrise or sunset bristlenose or something that this guy had bred or found wild caught or something. And it was mind-blowingly beautiful, but for $9,000, the guy's crazy, I just think it's really fun because you can go on Guppy's highest to lowest, and you'll get 185 fish for $150. You're like, oh, okay, well that doesn't count.
Yeah. So I do want to apologize if they're still listening, which I hope they are. Fish Whisperer Miles and Lefty 3213A. I'm sorry. I'm sure Bob did not mean to do that. I know that last I heard he was headed down to the Ark, to the shelter to do some work. So he probably pulled the phone out, slid it back in his pocket, and it decided that it did not like you at that particular moment. So my apologies if you're listening still. Taylor's Aquatic says, James, about those shipping lessons. Yeah, absolutely, Bob. You're welcome to come over Monday and give me some shipping lessons. I heard you talking a little bit about how you ship. I was taking mental notes of that. Zen Ginger is going to be the guinea pig, so we will see. Hopefully all goes well. It's going to be a lot of plants, so I'm not going to say everything that's in there because some of it's a surprise to her. I've made sure that she can accommodate whatever I send, but fortunately it's not like any big fish, which I tend to see have the most issues. Smaller fish generally do okay, but I've seen some. Yeah. I know, just trying to get over. Go ahead.
You'll always get some that just don't make it, and I mean that's they just get too stressed out. It's inevitable, but you don't want it to happen because of your fault. Most of the time, it's from something that happened to the fish and not your fault.
Well, I'm hoping. I'm actually reusing a box that I got from Lake Hamilton Guppies. He shipped me some guppies in, and it's got like live fish stamped everywhere on it. It's got all sorts of special, and I'm like, this box should be big enough, and there's nothing more I could do to stamp this box to tell people, hey, watch it. So hopefully
you got to get those lime green live fish with the arrows and all that stuff. I put those on every box.
Yeah, I've got a roll of the USPS. Well, I've moved them, but I've got a whole roll of their yellow fragile special handling USPS stickers. I'm like, we'll slap some of those on there. But do you have?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to ask if you have any shipping tips, and probably you do. But do you have a video that we can link people towards?
Yes, I do actually have a video on how I ship my fish. So I do it a couple different ways. I tend to always do breather bags, though. No matter what fish it is, I do a breather bag. I've never had a loss in a breather bag, and I'm continuing that streak. So knock on wood. So I've been I think we've done 25 shipments since we switched over to breather bags, and I haven't lost one fish in the breather bag. So that's my huge thing that I would recommend if you're going to be shipping a lot of fish. And then another thing that I've really kind of seen a really good result out of is just the ammonia pads that you get for hang on the back filter. Mm-hmm. You just chop off a little chunk of that and throw it in the bag with the fish, and that'll save the ammonia burns or whatever will happen in shipment, because it sometimes does happen, when you do it in just a regular bag, and it just helps a little bit with that from burning the fish in the bag.
Absolutely. The Polysorb, is that?
Yeah, that it's kind of just a big pad of ammonia block or whatever they call it. There's 10 different names for it.
Gotcha. So. Which I'm sure you're aware of this because you replied to the comment, but I did see your video and I remember you doing that. But for anybody that wasn't aware, I wanted to bring that up because you had some really good points in there. I'm trying to find the link for it real quick. Somebody will probably.
Zen already threw it up. Zen's always good at that.
Leave it to Zen. Thank you very much, Zen. I appreciate that. Very, very cool.
What's the longest you've ever had fish in the mail and them survive?
I think it was actually 2 Zen, if I remember correctly, and it was 6 or 7 days they were in the mail. And of course, when you do the breather bags, you're not as worried. I was more worried about them being cold than dead. So that was my biggest worry, was not the oxygen, but the freezing temperatures, because I sent out some bettas and some other fish too. So it was scary. I was really worried, but they all showed up and did great. So,
well, I found out I ordered some fish from the Mob Guppy, and he told me they arrived yesterday, but they didn't bring it to the house or put anything in my mail saying to go to the mail, the post office. So I ran out there because his show's at 12, and that's when the post office closes. So I couldn't get in. So they're going to be in there for an extra couple days. I'm like, oh gosh, poor little guys.
Well, best.
Yeah, I'm lucky. My USPS shop that I drop all my fish off at, they absolutely love my fish. So I actually go in with my tape gun and I show them the fish before I tape the bag up or the box up, because they like to see what I'm shipping out. They're just so intrigued by it. They're like, I never thought of fish going in the mail. And I'm like, well, how does every Petco and PetSmart and every fish store get their fish? They have to ship them some way.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we just never thought of that. So they always like to see what I'm shipping out. And so they get a kick out of it every time I bring in a box.
Well, that's very cool. That's actually my biggest fear, is what's going to happen when I walk into the post office, because I've heard horror stories of the postal employees not knowing anything and going, you can't ship fish. And I'm going to be like, I have to. And yes, I can.
Yeah, they say that all the time. And then what I do is I just have a picture of a existing order that I've done. Mm-hmm. Like if I go to a different post office, because mine closes a little bit early, I have a existing tracking number and stuff, and then they can scan that and look it up and see like, oh, it's live fish, and then they go, oh, okay, great, and then they ship it. So I've run into that a couple times too, but that's the way I've gotten around it, like I think twice. So
I will say they've always been very good about my deliveries that I've received, being very careful with them, knocking on the door if for some reason somebody wasn't here, which is I think only once. They put it somewhere that wasn't in the sun, but I still knew it was there. So I've been fortunate on that account, because I've heard a lot of terrible stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I've had worse experiences with UPS than USPS. I paid with the UPS. I once paid for overnight. I paid like $55 to get these fish overnighted, and they showed up 18 days later.
Oh my
goodness!
So, and then they're like, "Oh well, sorry, we don't insure live animals because we can't." And I'm like, "Well, that's just great, isn't it?" So it was like, I think it was like 18 fish too. It was a ridiculous amount of fish in the bag. And it was like one of my like maybe third or fourth shipment out. And I was like super bummed because it was so many beautiful fish. And so I've never used UPS since. It's only USPS since then.
I can definitely understand that. They don't like me anyways. I have a tendency to get 60 and 70 pound packages through them. So they really don't like me. So I would be afraid what they might do to a box that said live fish. Which we've got some great UPS people. We got UPS are living the dream. She's not in here right now, but she's local.
Yeah, we got a local UPSer in your area that's a fish tuber.
Yeah, I actually ran into her at the fish store and didn't know it until after the fact. I was doing a live stream, and as I commonly do when I'm live streaming at the fish store, I tell people just kick me if I'm in the way. And come to find out, one of the people I said that to that day was UPS are living the dream. She commented after the fact and was like, "You told me to kick you if you got in my way. I'm glad you didn't get me on camera." And I'm like, "I wish you'd have said something. I would have left you off camera. Would have been cool to meet you."
Yeah.
So you never.
I hope
know.
He says that to me someday.
I will never say that to you or Bob Kaler. Bob Kaler will whack me with his cane. But
well, I got another question for you. It's a little off subject. How do you filtrate all your tanks?
So everything is sponge, except for the 75. I have a hang on back there. And then my 45 tall, I just set up my first canister ever. I've kind of tried to stay away from canister filters for a long time, just because I didn't really want to spend the money on it if I could get an air pump and have it do just as good a quality. But everything's pretty much air. So I run either the double air sponge that you can get on Amazon for super cheap. Mm-hmm. But now I've switched almost all of them over to the Aquarium Co-op sponge. Yeah. I think it's an awesome sponge. It really is.
Are you running sorry.
No, we'll let you go, James.
I was just going to ask if he was running a linear air pump or if he had multiple air pumps.
So I was running multiple. So I was running, there's these like 4-port air pumps you can get on Amazon. I think they're like $38 or something. Mm-hmm. And I was running 2 of those to both racks. So I was running, one rack was running out of one pump. So 12 tanks off one pump and then 15 or 12 tanks off of another pump. Yep. But now luckily, so my friend Well Done Tanks, Trent, he got that linear air pump from Aquarium Co-op. They sent him a free air pump for his fish room build, which is awesome, like $240 air pump for free. And so he already had one of the active aqua pumps for his build. He was going to use it, and that was going to be what he did. So I bought that off of him, what he paid for it. So I've got that running all my tanks now. So just one active aqua pump is running every tank behind me.
Very nice.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, it gets really good flow and great quality of, you know, bubble and all that, and I haven't had a problem with air, so.
Very cool.
Yeah, well, I haven't ordered it yet. I keep trying, and they're kind of hard to get a hold of. Is Gemco, but my plan is first thing Monday morning is to get them, because that's like the major last thing to do in my fish room is the air, and I'm going to go with
How
the
much
Gemco.
are the Gemco ones?
Well,
Just
the Gemco 80 is, I think it's 280 to do 80 tanks. It's rated for 65 to 80 lines, so you could put more than one line in a tank. But and then you can get the 100 for like 350.
How much air? Let me pull it up while is the aquarium co-op one running? Do you know?
I do not know. I didn't even actually check theirs.
Because Trent got the linear air pump from them directly, and they're now selling it on their site. And it is silent. We were on a voice talk the other day, and he's like, "Can you hear anything in the background?" And I'm like, "No, not at all." He's like, "Well, I'm running the air pump about 2 feet away from my microphone right now."
Nice.
I'm like, "Oh my goodness!" So, and it's only it's 230 on Aquarium Co-op, and it's a 47 liter. So,
I didn't even realize that Corey was selling that.
yeah, he just put it up, and I think Trent was the first one to get one from him. So that might be a good option instead of going Gemco if you wanted to, because I know Trent has done the Gemco and now he's done the linear pump, and I think he said this one's like half as loud, like quiet wise, as the Gemco. So that might be a good option for you, and it's cheaper.
I wonder
and I could get some fry food.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Pay for the shipping.
Do you happen to know, or does it even say what he's rating that up to? They have, generally they'll say like this approximately like 40 tanks or 30 tanks, or because I know with it being Corey, if he's saying that it'll handle like 45 tanks, it would probably handle more like 65 tanks, but he's going to underrate it. So I'm just curious.
He said, here's a quote on his site. I'm just kind of looking it says, how many tanks can I put on this pump is tricky. I have 20 10-gallon tanks and 20 125-gallon tanks. He said, keep in mind, if you have all 300-gallon tanks, you can't do 47 of them.
Right.
Yeah. So he's like saying it just depends really on how much air you want in each tank. But I'm sure 47. I know Trent's going to be running his whole rack, which he has the exact same. It's on the side. This exact same rack in his fish room, and he's run a central air system through that. Mm-hmm. And he said it's getting air perfectly to all those tanks. And then he's running, I think, to his 220 and then to his 60 at the same time too. So I think it's got quite a lot of air power.
Awesome. I'll have to look at that because I'm wanting to convert 45-ish tanks over, since they're all on air anyways. A lot of people in the chat that are praising USPS for various reasons. Bob Kaler mentioned is addressing my request to go over shipping. Sounds like I've got it covered. Bob, I may still be calling you Monday going, hey, what do you think about this? But no, I appreciate the offer very much, Bob. And then there was something. Oh, where did it go? Zen says, no, he's shipping to me. Please give advice. There it is. So Anna's Hobbies, I think, missed it a little earlier in the chat, but Anna's Hobbies asked if anyone uses auto feeders. So would you care to briefly tell her about your auto feeders, what you've got? Because
so these, we talked about a little bit at the beginning, but these are the Penplex daily doubles, so they feed every 12 hours. But then I've also tried like the Sun ones, like the really, really cheap ones you can get on like Amazon or eBay. They're like $8. Those aren't that great, but they do really well if you want to modify them a little bit. And then I've done Eheim. Eheims are really good if you're running 1 or 2 tanks, because they're like more, you can either do Wi-Fi on them on the newer ones, or you can set them to certain times to run. So I've run a couple different ones, but I really like the Penplex ones. So they fit on a rim tank and they do awesome. So
Very, very nice. I appreciate you readdressing that, and it's
Yeah, no problem.
good to see Anna's hobbies. We've got a couple of people mentioning how awesome the co-op air pump is, so that's just helping to solidify that for me. Well Done Tanks says Aquarium Co-op now sells the 45-liter air pump. Great pump. You see, and there
So
was Dragon Lair said it's rated at 40 tanks at 2 feet deep. So
Okay.
yeah, I could.
Yeah, so you could easily run my whole fish room and all my tanks. So all 36 of my tanks, you could probably run on that one pump.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm running all my tanks already on that one active aqua, I'm sure that the linear air pump would do better than that. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's about half the size of the one that I want to get from Gemco.
So yeah, I mean,
Like
it'd be kind of
that's
one of
the
those.
Gemco stats.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm supposed to get smacked by Gina from Dragon Lair for apparently not reading his comments. I was getting there, Dragon Lair. I promise. I'm sorry. Dragon Lair also said the co-op pump is extra quiet. I don't hear mine at all. Hashtag not
Well,
sponsored.
that's awesome.
And
Maybe
Dragon
I'll-
Lair said earlier he was surprised by how young I am. And yes, I'm only 25. So if anyone was wondering, I'm 25 years old.
And what year did you? Was that 92?
94. Was when I was
94.
born.
Gee,
Yeah.
I graduated in 92. That means
Yeah,
I've been out of school for 27 years. Wow.
I graduated in 13. So
Well, that's awesome.
yeah.
And well Done Tank says, and I should have phrased it better because I understand that usually there's a max ports. When I said aquariums, I should have asked what the max amount of ports was that they recommend. Because usually they'll say, well, you don't want to port this off to 70 different tanks.
Whoops, I think
Yeah.
James locked up.
And Trent's like saying in here, probably 30 plus 10-gallon tanks you could run on it. Depth of tank will adjust how many tanks it'll run. And they said, Peter, check the chat. So I am checking the chat, Trent.
I don't know how long I was gone. I lost you all for a split second. So hopefully I haven't been sitting here for like 5 minutes. But
Oh, no, I think it just.
Probably like 15 minutes.
okay. All right. Good deal.
No, 15 seconds maybe.
All right.
Yeah,
Good,
well,
good.
I don't think it's very long.
All right. Well, at least you all were still there. That's one of the things I do like about StreamYard is even if I completely disconnect, you all are still hanging out going,
Yeah.
we have no control, but we're here to talk.
Yeah, I do StreamYard with mine too because I really do like it. I think Punchy was the one that got me turned on to StreamYard. So
Yeah, it's
Do you have any plans to go to any of the Aquashellas or any of the big fish shows?
So I've been looking at them. So I sent some of the purple Dumbos to Chris Scott, who's, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him, but he's Fanatic, who's on YouTube and everything. He's a kind of one of the bigger YouTubers in the fish world. He's his manager, and he's actually very good at keeping fish. So I sent him some of the Dumbos to try to like boost his, viewership knowledge in the hobby and kind of show him what a true trio should look like and how to keep that trio. And so he's doing a great job of like kind of turning that knowledge out to those people because there's not in that world, it's more like entertainment sometimes. And so he's really focused on like kind of what we're focused on. This is the way that this fish should be kept, and this is how to keep it the best possible way. And so that's what he's kind of going for with the fish I sent him. But he said potentially, he would like me to go to Aquashella in Dallas and do all that with them. But we do a Halloween party every year, and I can't get out of that. It's too much fun. We're the host house. Last year we had like 35 people in our house, and it was a blast. And this year we're expecting even more. So,
awesome.
COVID dependent, of course, but
Yeah. Well, if you can't have your Halloween party, they probably won't have the convention. So
yeah, that's probably true. So we'll see. I mean, but I really do want to go. My other goal is, this year we were supposed to have the Utah Fancy Guppy Association meeting here or the IFGA meeting here in Salt Lake. So we were going to go out and we were going to live stream there. Trent and I were. We were going to talk to a lot of people like Brian Chin. He's written some really incredible books on breeding guppies and how to get show quality guppy strains, which is a whole nother can of worms that I'm kind of delving into. But that's just like, you want to talk about 10 steps to do one thing. That's what show breeding is. And Brian has an incredible book on that. So if anyone's looking to get into show breeding, go buy his book on Amazon. It's awesome. And it's BryanChin is his name. So Brian Chin. But he was going to come. He was going to talk about, I think, medication or history of guppies and the hobby. And then, of course, the show, which is incredible. So we were really looking forward to that. But then it got canceled, almost last minute, like 2 weeks before, which sucks. But hopefully it'll come back up again and we'll be able to go out and set up a little booth and live stream from there.
Now, Brian Chin has 2 books out. Do you
Yes.
recommend one over the other? Because I've ordered both, but it was when Amazon stopped shipping. So
they're both incredible. He's an awesome guy too. Like, he's on Facebook a lot. If you want to reach out to him, I'm sure he would answer questions. I wouldn't say he's going to, but I'm sure he would. He's always answered right back to me on anything I've ever asked him. But really just a good person. And that's kind of the cool part. If anyone's really into guppies, it's like, I think $250 on the IFGA website. You can go and you can become a lifetime member. You get all of their information. You get all the brochures from all the history. You get all of the like forums and all that stuff on there just by becoming a lifetime member. Well worth the money. And you meet some incredible people through that too. So if someone's doesn't have a local club, you can go on there and you can become an IFGA member through that.
That's awesome.
So Diego was saying it got here late at Pet Exotics. Maybe I missed it, but does Guppy Guru sell guppies? Yes, I am posting the link again. There we go. Is Salt City Aquatics for Guppy Guru. Chewy LTD mentioned Brian Chin is also a great photographer too. Fish Room Fever.
He is.
And
he really is. I tried to get him to start with the Project Piaba stuff as well. So I sent the whole link out to the IFGA and the UFGA, which is Utah Fancy Guppy, to try to get them all involved in it. And it's just a completely different world for them to do Instagram and YouTube. So I tried to get them to kind of do the Facebook group. So hopefully they'll start posting in there, because like David, who's the local president here, David Cornell, who runs Opa's Guppy Ranch, absolutely gorgeous fish. I got my gold top swords from him, and those are absolutely magnificent fish. So he's got some really great fish with some really awesome pictures of those. Brian Chin takes great pictures. Bryce has great pictures. You've got, Rick, great pictures. Everyone in this is just awesome. Has incredible fish rooms too. And not just guppies. They have like angelfish and other live bearers and cichlids. And I know Bryce has I think a 200-gallon saltwater tank in his living room. So a wide range of fish that these guys all keep. So
very, very nice. Without giving away any trade secrets, you were talking about, teaching other people about what a guppy trio should look like. Do you have any basic tips for somebody that's just starting out? Nothing too technical. I'm sure we can go over to your channel to find some really nice technical things.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those things that it's better to buy local, is always what I'm going to say. Buy local or buy from a fellow hobbyist, someone that you like. You can watch like your guys' videos and go, okay, look, like they care about their fish. They're breeding these fish correctly. That's always going to be the best fish. If you don't have any other resource, like, you can always hit Aquabid. There's a lot of us on there. There's like eBay has a lot of really good people too, but you can run into a couple bad ones every once in a while. I had like a 30-minute rant the other day on Instagram about some horrible fish that I got from eBay. And I'm not going to get into that, but it was horrible. So I kind of helped some people understand kind of what to look for in there. And sometimes the best looking sites aren't always the best. That's just, that tends to sometimes be the scenario. But as far as like a really good tip is kind of the same way that Corey kind of goes when he buys fish is if you see someone taking pictures and they look kind of grainy and the fish is swimming, it's probably they're a fellow hobbyist and they're not a professional photographer taking pictures of these fish. So then they tend to be, whatever you see is what you're really going to get is kind of the best way to go. But if you can get a trio from a local person, definitely do that. A lot of like local cities have like Facebook groups and stuff. Just reach out on there and say, hey, does anyone have a trio of guppies they're looking to sell or whatever, and DM me with information. And a lot of people will do that. But that's where you're going to get your best fish is local or for someone else you trust.
Very nice.
How do you like breeding your guppies? Do you do it like a colony, or do you separate them? Or
so I'm actually working on a video idea right now. I'm going to get with like maybe potentially Brian Chin, but I know I'm going to get with David, and I'm going to do like a video on breeding colony versus line breeding, because there's a huge difference between the two. So colony breeding, you have one tank, all the fish are in that tank, they breed in that tank, they repopulate in that tank, and that's just what it is. Line breeding to get to show quality and that kind of stuff is a completely different realm. You have one tank with the pair or one tank with the trio, and then you have Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4, Gen 5 of all your different fish below that, and then you'll selectively breed those out and put them back up into the top, and it's just this cycle of fish. And that's how you get those really gorgeous show fish that win the trophies and win the awards and sell for $300 a pair, that kind of stuff. That's where you get those. But then colony breeding has its benefits too, because you can have really great fish that colony breed, and if you're kind of turning them over, if you're getting, selling them or whatever, you're not going to have too many issues in the colony. At least that's what I've noticed. But if you have if that's your only tank and you're wanting to breed 150 guppies in one tank, just make sure your water's clean and you'll still get beautiful fish. But I personally do all colony breeding because I'm not to the point of where I want to do show yet, because I'm having fun just keeping as many as I can. But when I get to the point of show, like this whole rack over here would be just probably for 1 or 2 strains. There's 12 tanks, you'd have 6 tanks designated to one strain of guppy. So I'm working on that where I can sit down with David and do a video on the difference between the two, because there's a massive difference in the guppy world, at least.
I do it the same way. Right now I'm doing all colony, but I plan on eventually doing the line breeding myself.
Yeah, it's just a lot of effort, and it's not that it's not worth it. It's that you really have to love the fish that you're going to breed. So if there's one fish that you drop dead, it's your favorite, there's nothing that's better than that one fish, then go ahead and breed that one in a line and you'll be happy. But if that's not the fish you really want, or if you're going to be stuck with 6 tanks with one fish. So colony breeding is a really fun way to keep a lot of fish.
Yeah, that's one thing. I've kind of started to get into it, and then I ran into the issue of I'm not going to have enough tanks for this, like you're talking about. So it's something that I'm going to have to do some rearranging for if I do decide to pursue it.
I mean, it's really awesome when you can go to so Rick, who was our post president or our past president of the Utah Fancy Guppy, he has 320 tanks in his garage, and those are all line bred fish. Absolutely incredible. He's got some of the most beautiful show winning fish. And I'm hoping, so he just had a huge collapse of his fish room during the winter. One of his doors blew in, and then the heater couldn't keep up. And so all of the tanks from, I think he said mid rack down, all those fish froze and died. And luckily, there's one line I think he said he's had for 20 something years. Luckily, that line, he had 1 tank left, so he was able to redo that one. But a lot of the lines he's been working on, show quality, beautiful fish, all passed, unfortunately. So he's waiting to rebuild before he lets me back out there, so I can show all you guys what he's got, because it's mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing.
So we've got Lefty3213A says 100% buy local, had a disaster when I bought from Thailand, fish from Faber. And then Gina French, I'm going to celebrate it even though it didn't come through. Says him, I did a $10 super chat, but my YouTube glitched and apparently didn't show, but it got withdrawn from my account. I did double check on the back end, which not that you're asking, and I'm not going to take over for forever with this, but it is not showing on my end. So if you have an issue, let me know. We can get that fixed because it didn't pop through here. But thank you very much for that. I appreciate it, Gina. Always an awesome supporter. And now I can't get that off the screen. There we go. Pull my chat back up here because we had a couple other comments.
Yeah, so if I can address Chewy's real quick, he is correct. With line breeding, you're definitely going to get stronger fish over the long haul. Colony breeding, you will get potentially a weaker fish if you are not culling properly. So if you're not physically watching your tank all the time and watching for the drops, and you're seeing bent spines and weak coloration and that kind of stuff, yes, you will get weaker lines. But I'm constantly doing that on a day-to-day basis. And the fish that are super weak, I pull right out. If they're horrible and bent spines and whatnot, they do get officially cold, and then the rest of them go into the mutt tank if they're not just color matched. So there's a lot of work to do in order to keep that going.
And you did have a video on that as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, and it was just kind of a quick one. I mean, like I said in the video, I think like twice or maybe 3 times, there's so much more to culling. And there's like 180 different ways you can do it, and this technique and that technique, and all techniques can be right. It depends on just what's going to work for what you want. And that's just the way that I usually do it. So.
Yeah.
Can I say something that totally has nothing to do with the stream?
Absolutely. Everything.
This is for Lefty.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it was brought up in the stream, and this is for Lefty, and he's a friend of ours. He asked if Wingspan's worth the $135 on Amazon. It is an independent game, and they sell out nonstop. So every time they do a release, they release it, I think, at $65, and it sells out right away. So go to your local game shop, tell them you want it, and the next time it's released, you'll be able to get it for $65. Or you could spend double and get it on Amazon. Okay, so sorry.
Yeah, that was like Gloomhaven. When Gloomhaven came out, same scenario. You know, it was like you could get it on their what's that site that you can fund it? You know what I'm talking about? Kickstarter, yeah, that one. You could get it on there, but if you didn't get it on there, it's like $400 now for Gloomhaven. So same scenario.
Now, what's Gloomhaven?
So it's kind of like a D&D mix-up game, and it's really fun. I've played it with a couple of my friends for a lot. I'm kind of big into board games too. I feel like it's a simultaneous thing with fish keeping, like board games and fish keeping. I think they go hand in hand. They really do. But that's kind of the same thing. Like, they're cheap if you can find them right up front, but then if you wait a little bit, you're going to spend the pretty penny. That's for sure.
Like, I'm using, this is Cthulhu May Die, I think. Yeah. And I'm just using this as my stand for my for my computer, so it's a little higher. But this is a great game too.
It works. You know?
It's probably one of the best
I've got a lot of games. One of my favorite games is Redneck Life. If you guys haven't played that, it's hilarious. So the guys who created the game went to high school with my mom in Washington State, and so they created, it's the game of life but redneckified, and it's absolutely hilarious. The winner of the game has the most teeth at the end. It's so fun. It's so fun. You get all these kids throughout the whole thing. You end up with like 28 kids at the end, and it's a blast. It's a really blast.
I'll have to check that out. That sounds pretty good.
So we've got River Life. Thank you, Rack, with the $5 super chat. Very much appreciate you, brother. Says, who is this Guppy guru? He's a pretty cool guy. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Rack, another strong contributor, and of course the gentleman that came up with the idea for hashtag Project Post. It's funny timing because I have, if my address shows, I'll pull a Bob Kaler and say send money and candy. But I actually have a package from Rack in my hand. I hadn't opened it yet. I did cut it open just a second ago while we were talking. But something special from the River Life that I want to open here.
When's Rack's live showing of his art show?
Now, he does art auctions every Friday on the River Life Art Facebook group, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the name of it. I know we can get a link in here for it.
I think he's actually going to do a virtual tour of his art show, though.
He is, and we have got. He's actually.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off on the first part.
No, you're fine. You're fine. That was another thing I was going to mention. Is he has actually got his art hanging in a physical showing right now in a gallery, and it's all art that's inspired by tropical fish.
Yeah, I think it's Lefty who's been posting a lot of the art pieces he's gotten from him, if I remember correctly.
Absolutely.
And I'm absolutely in love with the like abstract like design of how he's like an abstract way of looking at fish colorations and patterns. I think it's so cool.
So just
like, no, I don't think anyone else has done that. So
no, and let me tell you, he's got this thing very securely on here. He's got it taped onto this piece of board here so that it can't get hurt. So I'm going to try and get this open while we still have some time here. But yeah, if you want to, feel free to continue talking about his art. I'm working on opening this so we can show it.
Should I show the trophy for the project?
Oh, I think that'd be awesome.
The like beginning stages of it. So so there's a couple different pieces to it. I haven't finished it yet, but this is the base to the trophy. So this is Best in Show from Project Placilia. So this is the base. And then my coworker 3D printed us a guppy silhouette. So it'll sit on a piece of acrylic floating above or swimming above the base here. And it'll be pretty cool. I'm either going to paint this to look like a guppy or I'm going to paint it just gold. I haven't really decided yet, but it'll sit like there and it'll just sit right on top of that. So that'll be the Best in Show trophy. And it's dense. Like this thing weighs like 5 pounds. It's a big block of wood. So
you went all out on
someone with that.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of wood. I think it's maple, if I remember correctly. But I'm like, if we're going to do it, might as well go all out. I got the gold plate engraved for us, and then I had the guppy made for it too. So
yeah, where was it? Oh, there we go. Lefty's got it posted in here. Monday, May 25th, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. I'm assuming that's Eastern Standard Time. Rat Cross, endorsed by Nature, virtual opening reception. I believe that's going to be going down on there's a link from the Zen Ginger on the Facebook page there. But, Rack, thank you very much for that. This is a Rummy Nose Tetra inspired piece. Absolutely love it. I'm going to put it, and this is on acrylic canvas. It's acrylic canvas board here. I've got some prints from him of his other art, but this is my first original piece, acrylic canvas piece. So I'm super excited to have that. I'm going to put this back in the envelope. I'll let y'all take one more look at it there. I really need to get
that's just so cool. Like you can tell what it is.
Love it.
Abstract. It's awesome.
Yeah. So if you want to get yourself a piece, go check out the River Life Art Auctions on the Facebook page on Fridays.
Awesome.
Very cool, Rack. Thank you again. Thank you for the super chat, and thank you for also being not only the guy that came up with the hashtag Project Placilia, but being one of the people that is also sponsoring the hashtag Placilia entry, which I think we should talk about a little bit before the stream wraps up in 12 minutes. We talked Project Placilia some, but we haven't really directed people towards the contest that's going on. We've shown some.
Yeah, we definitely should do that.
Yeah. So, Ed, since that was kind of your baby, or Guppy Guru, since you've been one of the people that's headed up a lot of that, if either one of you would like to explain that, because I'm just kind of what was I called? The figurehead at one point in the chat? Yeah.
I'll let you take it, Ed. I mean, it was your guys' idea, and you guys were lucky. I feel just blessed to be a part of it. So I'm just glad I could help out.
You've been awesome.
Yeah.
Lefty and Ginger have been amazing. And so is Rat. All of you guys have been amazing. But the first major category is the photography category. This is you can take your own fish, you can take your friend's fish, you can take a photo of a fish down the street. Anywhere you can take it as long as you take it with your camera, it can be on a phone, a camera, whatever. You can dress it up. If you shoot black and white, you can add some color to it. If you shoot it in color and want it black and white, make it black and white. It's up to you how you want to do it. So but you can only submit one photo. So make sure it's a good one. Any way you want to do it, just make sure you submit one photo. And the next category is the video. Basically, everything I just said about the photo, same as the video, except it can't go over 3 minutes long. So, shoot your own video any way you want to do it, and then we'll judge on it. And then the third category is all other forms of art, all the other art forms. So we've seen woodworking, we've got pottery, dance, singing, anything you want. Put it together, and you have a chance at the third category. The fourth category is solely sponsored by Rack from River Life, and it is the entry that most inspires him to think Priscilla. Did I say it right? Priscilla?
Priscilla.
I'm always terrified to say the word.
Yeah, they're always, it's
They know
a
what
weird
you
word.
mean.
I mean, I don't mind saying beta because I've been saying it my whole life wrong. Okay. So whatever, it's his choice. And he is sponsoring that category completely on his own, even though we are going to have a certificate going towards that. All 5 categories are going to get a certificate that was designed by DPK.
Yes,
Is it
DPK Aquariums. Yep.
Aquariums. Okay. And I mean, they're amazing, awesome looking.
They do look really great.
And then the grand prize will be the best overall from all the top 3 categories, and doesn't necessarily mean one of the winners of the top 3 categories. We've got at least 6 judges right now, and so I don't know what the other judges will say, but I'm gonna try to make sure that there's 4 winners, or I vote on 4 different pieces. Just because I like to see as many winners as possible. But we've got lots of people donating. Last time I missed Bob Kaler, so I'm going to mention him first. Bob Kaler's going to sponsor one of the categories, and we need to talk to Bob to see what one he wants to sponsor. Priscilla is going to sponsor the grand prize, so not only do you get that awesome trophy that Guppy Guru Peter has, but you also will get a Priscilla 4x6 drawing of whatever fish you want. Or is it the winning fish or just whatever your fish is?
She said their favorite fish. So
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it could be the winning one. You never know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then the 3 categories, the 3 base ones, the photography, video, and art form, are all going to be sponsored by Diego from Petzotics. He's got a plant package. Unfortunately, it's U.S. only. So if you win it from out of country, maybe we'll just donate that part towards the grand prize winner. I think would be the most fair way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll make it work the best way possible for whoever wins. So, and everyone knows that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then I haven't decided exactly what I'm going to do, but I am of course going to sponsor some prizes there. I'm going to see where the chips fall, and if there's a category that's lacking, I'm going to do something there. But we're running out of time, and I want to say thank you to Gina French for the $10 super chat. It says better work this time. Thank you. You guys are awesome. Gina, you are awesome. Not only is she a member, but super chat. Thank you very, very much for that, Gina. And then we got Petzotics coming in with the $3 super sticker with the thumbs up exercise pair. Diego, thank you very much for that, Petzotics. Couple things I want to mention real quick because we've only got 6 minutes left. I will be on with Aquamate next week on the 22nd, and it is scheduled. I'll drop a link in here, but I'm going to be on the Aquamate experience. So if you guys want to come hear me ramble on again on another channel. Now,
it's going to be exciting too.
It's going to be because Aquamate's always got some interesting questions. So I'm going to have to prepare myself for that. I'll get this to work. I'll drop the link for that. Do we have Rumble coming up behind us tonight? I was trying to look that up, but I've got too many windows open. If we do, if we can get a link in there for that, but I'm trying to get there we go.
They took last week off because of Mother's Day, but I would imagine he'll be up tonight.
Yeah, I took last week off for the same situation, so
there we go.
I think
so
everyone's back.
There's a link for next week's stream there. Oh, and Zen Ginger's got it. But I wanted to get that out there. A huge thank you to Aquaman. I figured I'd let y'all know that. I've got one or two other things, but before I get to them, Guppy Guru, do you have anything specifically that you would like to let us know about that you've got going on?
No, I'm just very appreciative of everyone, doing what they're doing right now. I think it's just really cool that, guppies have they fell away for a bit. And now with all of this, I feel like it's just bringing back the love for what they are. And not just guppies, the other live bearer species there are out there. We're only doing the Posilia, but there's the Posilia Day, which is the whole family of them, which is just a massive, massive family of gorgeous fish. And I just think it's really cool that you and Ed have kind of started this whole process of bringing people into something we all have a passion on, and just even more passion towards guppies. So I just appreciate you guys for it, and for everyone who hangs out in the chats with you guys and listens to all this every week, and it's really cool.
And I've got to throw that right back to River Life because he was the one that came up with it initially. And then I've said many times, it's kind of like he invents fire and walks over to me and shows it to me, and I've just got to pour gasoline on it to see what happens. So,
well, you poured it at the right time, and luckily I was listening to hear it too. So,
to bring it full circle, we're going to announce the winners in June on the River Life YouTube channel. So be sure you're subscribed to him as well. That way you know when that's going to happen. The Zen Ginger with the $10 exercise pair says, thank you. Zen, thank you. I can't tell you thank you enough. I don't even have enough time in the day to say thank you enough to you. Y'all are awesome. Everybody is. I've got 3 minutes. Ed, do you have anything that you would like to tell us about that you've got going on?
Not really. Just having a great time trying to get the fish room done. And I've decided now, instead of just moving the tanks from the basement to the fish room, I'm rescaping all new tanks, and I'm going to just kind of cycle them all through. Because after talking to Father Fish yesterday, I decided, I'm just going to do the deep sand bed in about half of them at least, just to have fun and do that. So all my favorite guppies, and I hate the gravel that are in my guppy tanks because I used like terrible free guppy, or not guppy gravel, but gravel that I'd gotten years ago from a tank. And at the time I was just thinking, what do I got that the guppy fry will hide in at night, and
right.
But now it's like, oh man, I hate all that orange and red in there. So
yeah, no, I went with all black from Imaginarium, I think is what the Petco brand is. And I had just all black gravel in all my tanks. I don't like bare bottom. I don't know why. I just don't. So
we've got Fish Whisper. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I have two tanks I just got done with that are black sand. My first two black sands. So I'll let you go.
Fish Whisper a Mile with the $5 super chat. Thank you very much, my friend. Says feeder guppies plus fancy tail guppies equals my colony creating is more fun. That's awesome. I have bought feeder guppies in the past and done some things with them besides feeding them just to see what you could get out of them. But that's awesome. Thank you very, very much, Miles. I appreciate that. I am going to run through and say thank you to all the super chatters real quick. We're not going to go through the whole members list on this one because doing it every stream is a little redundant on everybody. But thank you very much to all the members. Thank you very much to this guy down here who not only became a member but came in at the snowball level. Very much appreciated, Guppy Guru. Peter, thank you.
I appreciate you guys.
Oh no, you were awesome. But we have got tonight Lefty 3213A, River Life Rat Cross, Gina French, Pet Zotics, the Zen Ginger, and Fish Whisper Miles. Thank you all very, very much for your super chats and super stickers. I want to tell you all Monday I've got something very special in store for the Fishy Monday Fun Day live stream. We're going to be preempting a project, and we're going to be finding some things that are going into a super secret collaboration video. So come check out the stream Monday. That's going to be fun. I might have a special guest on there with me Monday. It'll be out in the field somewhere. So come check that out. Be sure you check out the Guppy Guru on Sundays. It's 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, 11 Eastern and then 8 Pacific.
There we go. Go check those streams out. Very cool in the morning, and that'll get you fired up for D's stream down the wormhole.
Yeah, she's awesome too. The fish fam's incredible. We lucked out with a group of people. Like,
We did.
everyone's supportive and awesome. I've never met a bad person yet. So,
And then
if you ever get a chance to meet a group, I've met 2 different groups of YouTubers, and we've just had so much fun both times.
yeah,
absolutely. Zen Ginger has dropped the Salt City Aquatics link for Guppy Guru's website. Last thing I'm going to leave you with, and then we'll say our goodbyes because it's 9 o'clock and we're going to go hang out Rumble's Fish Room. If y'all haven't noticed already, there is a members only emoji in there. I've got room for 9. So y'all let me know in the comments what you'd like to see for members only emojis, and we will get those set up for you. I will let you all say your farewells, and then I will say goodbye to everybody. It's been an honor to have you on here and a pleasure. I've enjoyed it. I wish we had more time, but I'm not going to be that guy and run over another person intentionally. So,
yeah. No, I appreciate you guys letting me come on and crash it. As I said in the Instagram message I sent you, it's been awesome to be part of the whole project and everything. So I'm just very grateful for you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming on, and anytime you want to, it was a lot of fun hanging out with you.
No, it was awesome. It was.
Maybe we'll talk games sometime. We'll have to do just a board game.
Yeah, virtual board game. We all get the same game. We all play Redneck Life together.
Oh my God, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Well, everybody, do me a favor. Let's go check out Rumble's Fish Room and show the Aussies some love. And until next time, keep your fish healthy, keep yourselves healthy, and catch yourself a little fish room fever. Take care, everybody.
Bye, everyone.